Today we're going to make a fun landscape painting. The first thing we need to do is draw a line straight across your paper. That is called the horizon line. The horizon is where the sky stops and the ground starts. The next thing that we're going to do is make a tiny little polka dot in the middle of your horizon line. That's actually called the vanishing point. Everything on the bottom of our paper is going to get smaller as it gets towards that polka dot. Next, we'll draw a line straight down from the polka dot and then to each corner of our paper, creating that vanishing point. Here's an example of a picture of a vanishing point. You can see all of those plants getting smaller as they get towards the polka dot. Next, you're going to choose pumpkins or flowers or something else to draw on your rows in your field. And I'm doing pumpkins here, so I'm drawing a big, medium, and small inside of each triangle on my paper. And here you can see I'm doing flowers, same thing. Big, medium, and small.
Big, medium, and small.
Once you fill your paper with your big, medium, and small of your pumpkins or flowers, you'll start adding some details. Here you can see I'm putting stems on the pumpkins. And then the grass is a key part in your field. If you make a pattern like I'm doing here, light green, dark green, light green, dark green, it will really help you see those triangles that are getting smaller towards the vanishing point. If you did it all with one color green, it will be kind of hard to see those triangles. So if you can do a pattern, that would be great. Next, I'm going in and trying to fill in every single little white spot in my field in the grassy area on the bottom so that there's no white spaces left. And don't worry if you get some of the grass on your flowers or pumpkins, because you can go back over them once you're adding more of your details in just a minute. I'm using paint sticks in this video, but you could use oil, pastels, or markers or paint when you're doing this. You can see here I'm adding details to my flowers, and I'm using white paint stick, but you could use a white oil pastel to go over anywhere the grass got on top of my flowers. And then I'm just adding a few more layers of color so that my flowers have a little bit of dimension and they're not just flat blobs of yellow. They have some different shades of yellow, and I'm doing the same in the grass. I'm adding some dimension to my grass. Here you can see I'm putting some shadows on my pumpkins by adding a little bit of red, and then I'm going to go in with a white again. You could use a pastel or a paint stick. I'm using a paint stick here. And then I'm using yellow on top. So it kind of looks like my pumpkins are a little more three-dimensional. And I'm going over my stems again. Once you're happy with the bottom of your paper, you can use markers to go back over it to outline. You could use Sharpies, whatever you have available. I'm using metallic markers here that are brown, so that it kind of matches my pumpkins. And I'm just adding those lines, giving some details to my pumpkins. And I'm going to do the same thing on the flowers in just a minute. Here I'm doing my sky. You can do your sky any way you want. I'm going to do a blue sky here with some clouds, but you could do a nighttime sky, a sunset sky. Think about what time of day it is and what type of sky and colors that you'll need to make this sky that you want to make. And here you can see I finished with my pumpkin landscape, and I've got my big, medium, and small pumpkins getting farther away. And I'm just going to finish my sky on my flower landscape. I'm going to do a starry night sky, so swirly, twirly lines up in the sky. And I'm going to use those metallic markers to add some stars and the moon. And then I am going to use metallic markers to add details to my flowers also, but you could also just use colored pencils, Sharpies, normal markers if you want to add any outlines, but I like that shine from the metallic markers that you can see here. And my son is in kindergarten and my daughter's in 4th grade, and I'm going to show you what they made while they were following my directions. Here's the one my kindergartner made, and then the one my 4th grader made while they were following my directions. And then here's my examples that I just made, and let me show you some more. Here's one with a sunset sky, a cloudy sky, and then these are some by 1st graders that I teach. So everybody's looks different and unique, and I hope you have a great time making your landscape.